Cloudcast Media. Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, and we are pleased to have, it's been a while. These are my oldest and dearest friends in the communication business, and been working with them for quite a while. They've been instrumental in helping grow Spotlight on the Community, have brought on some of their phenomenal clients over the years. And so they're back in themselves, going to chat about all the cool stuff that comes out of their work from C3 Communications. Joice Curry, the president and CEO. Joice, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having us.
Of course, you look great. And joined by Sean, her hubby and partner and COO, and just a cool cat himself. And one of the cool things was when you turned a certain age, Sean, how many miles did you run that year?
Well, it wasn't for a certain age, but it was 2,021 miles in 2021.
That's right, 2021. Yeah. He literally ran 2021, all in one take.
Yeah, just one day.
One day, and he was able to do that. Joined by my guest co-host, Kristen Blake. She is a PR and community affairs consultant. Kristen, you got a question for Joice and Sean?
Yes, I am so excited to chat with some fellow communicators today. So to kick off, Joice and Sean, what is the mission of C3 Communications?
Go for it.
Nope, I'm going to pass it off to Joice.
Well, thank you, Sean.
By the way, this is a first, by the way. Okay?
I know, it's really funny because we're really two loquacious people, but we're also very kind to give the other the platform. So I founded C3 Communications, Kristen, in January the 3rd, 2000, and it always was to make people's lives better. And that is a very broad statement, but if you really think about it, it is impactful on everything that we do.
Absolutely.
Well, and we know this, we were hearing this from Dr. Francisco Escobedo earlier. I mean, listen, communication and relationships, excuse me, is everything, but especially in the right type of communication in this area. I'll start with you on this, Joice. How has what we have seen over maybe the last 10 years or so, the world of communications change when people are spending more time on Instagram or Twitter or God knows what, other than traditional media?
Great question. And that's the beautiful thing is that these platforms that you shared, and there's so many more, we could spend a whole show just talking about how many there are out there.
Right.
You have to embrace them and not be fearful of them because the media is always, and Kristen can speak to this too, they're very fluid. And if you do not embrace it and move with the tide, then you're going to just get sucked in and it's not going to be fruitful for your clients or your community. Maybe you're doing work getting paid for, maybe you're doing pro bono work or your brand. So when C3 Communications started back in 2000, it started during a recession. And it was virtually based. So we didn't say in 2000 you were virtually based. It was, you just didn't talk about that. Now everybody's virtually based and worked at home. So when COVID hit, I've been working at home for 25 years. So people are like, isn't it work? I'm like, no, I don't know any different. So, it's funny that things have swung the other way. And I hear from colleagues, and Sean's got a very good point on this, and I'll let him speak to the AI thing and all these things that are coming up because he's really dialed into that. But you know what? You've got to just always keep moving forward and pivot. And if you keep doing the same thing that you did, if I did the same thing I did in 2000 and I expect different results, that's a definition of insanity.
Yeah, there's no question. Sean, let's talk a little bit about that. Obviously, a lot of things have changed in the world. AI is disrupting everything, and we see it a lot in the schools. And there can be a lot of good with AI, what they do. And there are also going to be some things you got to pay attention to. How about in your world with media relations and crisis communications?
Don't you know it's going to take all of our jobs? We're all going to be out on the Bahamas and let AI do everything. That's just what it is, right? We're all scared. No, actually, the fact is that any technology, and it doesn't matter, even your phone, when it first came out, I mean, it's just, people just get scared. They don't understand
TV
it.
and radio, are you kidding me? Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole point, right? I mean, with podcasts, it's like, oh, radio's going to go, with the satellites. But the fact is if you just embrace them, find out how it works with you. How can it make it? The reason why we have technology, why? It's to make our lives better, right? I mean, we make people's lives better. C3, that's why she started it, and we do that. But that's what AI is there for.
Right.
It's a tool, right? And if you can use it right, people are scared to a certain point. Oh, don't use it. You hear it all apply. Don't use it for press releases. Why not? Why start with a blank piece of paper? If you start with something, that's the best thing. You can do what you do best. Hone it. Don't just rely on a copy and paste and away you go. No, that's stupid.
Right.
But the fact is use it. Get something down, hone it, and go for it. And that's what you do. Embrace it. And it's not just for press releases. There's a ton of stuff.
Right. So talk a little bit about, Sean, and then we'll pivot over to Joice, and you can add to it, Kristen, on your clients. Okay, if you had to convince some of your clients that, hey, AI is okay to use, or AI is not good to use, or Twitter's better to use, or Instagram, or fill in the blank, has that been tough or not necessarily?
Yeah, not so much on the AI part, but like social media, because they just want to be everywhere. Oh, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. It's like, wait a minute, stop. Those are all tools. Again, what makes sense for you? And that's the thing that people have to embrace. Education, when it comes to PR, is probably our biggest thing, because a lot of people don't even understand what it is. The number one thing really is messaging. They don't think that's true, right? And they always rely on advertising and stuff, but really, advertising can't do their job unless you have the right messaging. And people might know or might think that they have the right messaging, but let's take a look at it. Let's smear it out. But then we also take a look at what's right for them in regards to social media. Where is their target audience? That is what PR is. And that is, it can be difficult sometimes because they just want to be everywhere, viral. You hear that everywhere, right?
Right. We're chatting with our friends from C3 Communications, Sean Curry, partner and COO, joined by Joice Curry, his other half, I should say. I'm associated. Well, I guess she's the better half. Okay. President and CEO of C3 Communications. I'm Drew Schlosberg. As you're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, we are the nation's longest running community podcast in our 19th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union for 60 years. Just doing amazing things in San Diego County, whether it's food insecurity, whether it's Alzheimer's, whether it's homelessness, they're always there. Shoulder to shoulder, joined by my guest co-host, Kristen Blake. She is a public relations and community affairs consultant. So this is your world. What other questions you want to ask these two experts?
I don't know where to start. I have so many. But I think one thing that comes to mind is when we think of communications, especially how this function has evolved over the past few decades, especially with a recession, with a pandemic. We think about public relations, right? Media relations, crisis comms, and then brand positioning, which I think is a little bit more recent of the three. How are you working with clients in those three areas, and what are you seeing shift?
Great question. And thank you, Kristen, for that. I'm going to bridge Drew's first question with yours. You know what, the media relations aspect of it, we're talking the traditional, we're going to be on Good Morning San Diego, we're going to be in the San Diego Union Tribune. I'm keeping this local to San Diego for this discussion right now. But you know what? It is always going to be relevant. And people go, oh, no, media relations is going to go away. No, it won't. And you know why? Because you need it. Then it's called integrated marketing now. And Kristen's nodding her head. You can't see that, but trust me, she is. So when you do integrated marketing, you're taking a story, and I'm giving a shout out to the UT because Drew came from there. So let's say you've got a wonderful story in the Union Tribune. That's great. Good job. Now what do you do with it?
Now what? Yep.
Exactly. There answers your question. So I'm going to speak to that now. So if you just get it, and that's neat, you tack it on a wall, show it to your parents, whatever. That's great. But that's where integrated marketing comes in. You take it and you leverage it to that particular audience. And Sean did touch on that. You've got TikTok, you get all these different platforms, but are all those platforms really relevant to that particular client or that particular organization's needs? Are those their audience? Are those their listeners? Are they their followers? No. You've got to actually be strategic about it. So you take a Union Tribune story and you kind of see where could that be marketed? And then you help your client do that. So that is a totally different approach. And what's cool about it is, if I rewind back to 2000, it was pretty cut and dry. Now it's not, but it gives you as a PR practitioner the ability to leverage a wonderful story and really elevate it and educate your client along the way that, hey, you can do this and that. You could share it with your constituency. All those different things exist now where you didn't have that opportunity 25 years ago, or even 10 years ago. And that's what makes this job, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kristen, because I know you're in the trenches like Sean and I are, but that's what makes this job so exciting is what can you do? It's not like, oh my God, these things are they're going to hinder me. No, it can make it better. And that's why this is such a great job. And I'm sure you feel the way that I do. And I know Sean does as well. And Drew, you're just here for the ride. I get that. Just kidding, buddy. But you know what? That's what makes this job so great is that you can make greatness out of using those tools that now are available. And you know what? Next year, there's probably going to be a half a dozen more.
Yeah, Sean.
The other cool thing about that is if you get a story, whether that's TV or whatever, it's not just repurposing that particular thing. This is what these targeted things that you can do, your audiences, is you break it down. So one segment, this one, for instance, you can break it down into 4 or 5 different things and make those a teaching moment. So it's not just, hey, we were on that. We were on Spotlight on the Community. We put that on TikTok. Okay, great. But that's beyond that, right? You take it, you smear it out, you make it 4 of them, 4 different things, and you can hyper-target who you want to. That's the beauty of this, the technologies and the apps and everything else.
Right. Well, first of all, I want to congratulate you on your 25th, your silver anniversary this year. And that is something that really deserves a big round of applause. When we come back from break, I want to talk a little bit about crisis communications. That's obviously what I was doing at San Diego Unified San Diego Union Tribune, but I was a spokesperson for 11 and a half years. And people always ask me, why does a newspaper need a official spokesperson? I said, because we get asked these same questions and we'd be the most hypocritical entity in the history of the world if we didn't answer them, right, on that aspect of it. And then want to talk a little bit about some branding and positioning, and then always save the second half. What can our listeners do to continue to support what you guys are doing at C3 Communications now and in the future when we return with Joice and Sean Curry of C3 Communications? I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. Been doing this now for 19 years, longest running community podcast in the nation. 60 years of great work Mission Fed has been doing to support so many different key initiatives in our region. And we will be right back after this short break.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, listening to another edition of the Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. So pleased to have in the studio my longtime friends and colleagues, one of the top communication firms in our region, C3 Communications, Joice Curry, the president and CEO, joined by her husband and colleague and maybe chief cook and bottle washer, Sean Curry, who is the partner and COO, joined by my guest co-host, Kristen Blake, a PR and community affairs consultant. Joice, I'll start with you on this and pivot over to Sean. Crisis communications is such a key role that you play with your clients. Talk about it.
Oh, I love crisis communications.
Do you create them?
No. But Sean has always been very complimentary of my efforts. He says that Joice, you could get a story take care of a story on the front page of the Union Tribune, and in the same day make it go away. Yeah. I love that, and a lot of PR people don't. They're kind of scared of it, but to me, it's a challenge and it's a fun one. So when my phone rings, and it rings, at all hours of the night, and this is not for the faint of heart, because you got to hit the ground running and go. But, with crisis communications, there's a couple of quick points I'm going to make and kick it to Sean. First and foremost, you need to be transparent. And Drew, running, that boat and steering as the captain of the San Diego Union Tribune, I mean, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
I do.
You have to be honest and you have to be transparent. And most of all, you have to listen. And honestly, a lot of people, they'll take the counsel, but they don't listen. It goes at one ear, not the other, but they have to. And the biggest thing that you can do is write a crisis communications plan. And now you've got to write it for not just traditional media, but all these other platforms that we just discussed, and put it in a drawer and hope you never have to use it. Because I guarantee you'll be caught with your pants down.
Yes.
And you're going to be back reeling, and that is not a spot you want to be in.
Yeah, there's no question about that. And Sean, Joice hit something that's so important on this. If you think you're going to trick the media, you're making a huge mistake. Talk about transparency.
Well, that's just it, right? If you're not transparent, they're going to dig it up. And especially in social media these days, people are already investigators, right? They all think that they're reporters.
Correct.
But the reporters themselves are even better, right? So the fact is you've got to come clean. You've got to own it. I mean, they caught you, especially with the phones in your hands, right? You got videos. I mean, just recent, right? We don't even need to get into that part.
Right.
But the fact is that they waited too long. And the other fact is no comment has never been a good thing, right?
It's horrible.
And if you aren't saying something, that means no comment. Somebody else is going to talk. So you might as well start talking and do it authentically, because if you don't, they're going to see right through it.
And you don't want the story to be told for you.
Yeah.
You got to drive it.
Very, very significant entity in this town of San Diego, this wonderful town we live in. Not going to name them, but they waited too long. And then the story spun out of control, and they're still paying for it to this day.
Well, even the Gwyneth Paltrow thing that they come out with, I mean, that was a little too soon, and there's also some backlash on that. But again, transparency. So hey, this is what happened. I'm sorry for doing it. Genuinely say that. And what are we going to do about it? If you do those three things,
100%.
It goes away.
The TV, PR, TV, you've done everything, as a spokesperson too. You know what? If you lose control of the story, you won't get it back. Yeah. And then misinformation gets out there, and then the barn's burning. So you don't want to put yourself in that spot. And it goes back to where I started. You have to listen and be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think some companies too sometimes tend to forget that the media isn't just their stakeholder in this instance, but they have customers and colleagues and potential talent. And so how they address crisis comms isn't just for the media's sake, but it's also for these other stakeholders, right?
100%.
Yeah.
Employees, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what's really funny, I may have talked to you guys about this before, but when, I was in my role as spokesperson for the Union Tribune, I had some people at the paper say, why are you talking to the press? And I said, okay, let's back up a second here. So here we are, the Union Tribune, who absolutely abhors people who say no comment. And we're going to say no comment. If we're not the most hypocritical entity in the history of humankind, of course we're going to talk. And, I think what was important about it, and Joyce, you know this, I always invited the media into my office. And if they wanted to have, take a photo or videotape or sometimes most likely wasn't live, of course, and they love it. They love the fact that you're giving them access. You're still only going to talk about what you want to talk about, in that area. Let me ask you this, as you guys move forward in your next 25 years in this area, are there certain different clients you're looking to do? You have a lot of the same clients, or there's some areas, is AI an area you're looking at to build a business through that? Talk about that, Joyce.
Wonderful question. Thank you, Drew. We have always been known for the events that we promote. And Drew, you've come to many of them over time, and these could be national tours. These could be local boat shows. We've done as big as the Miami International Boat Show, which is arguably the largest boat show in the country. And, down to, a community theater. And, we've loved doing events, and that is really a core competency from day one. And then we do pro bono work for events for organizations. And I think that if you are a player in the game in this town, you need to share your talent and your treasure and help others. So that's always been number one. Media relations, boy, that I just have such a passion for, and that is just such a special place to be. But just in the essence of brevity, the term media relations is not just a term. It means have relations with the media. That means you don't just call them when you want something. You call them and said, hey, you know what? Do you need anything? Or people call me all the time and say, man, I'm stuck in a hole. I can't find somebody. Well, welcome to San Diego. There's 3 degrees of separation. If I don't know of somebody, I can call Drew, who's sitting across the table from me in this beautiful studio, and I can go, I know that person. So you just, it's relationship driven. And I think people oftentimes lose the sight of that. And that's where I can sit down with somebody and say, you know what? I personally can't solve your problem, but I've got a relationship with person X in the media. Let me help you out with that. And that's where it's symbiotic. And I think people just go and they just want something. It's like, no, give back. Be a resource. Be helpful. And that to me is why I have the pleasure and honor to sit in front of you 25 years later, and it's been 25, and that just blows my mind. And I think it's because of the approach that we take. And I think that we're authentic and we're honest and we're transparent, but helping others, it goes back to the first question you asked me. And I think it lives there. And, God bless America. I don't care how many bells and whistles and newfangled platforms there are. That will never, ever change in life. And maybe it comes down to the foundation that our parents all taught us, but it's true. And that will hold over for generations to come.
Yeah, great. Sean, how can our listeners, and you can add to Joyce, can support the efforts that you're doing? You work with you folks, any suggestions? If they've got people that say, hey, they really can use some communication support, how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, they can go online at our website or even give us a call. We're pretty open.
Right.
C3communications.com. Or C3 Public Relations. I always get that for some reason. Isn't that weird?
But anyway, been around for 17.
Yeah. But what about that?
He's still got some
Sean, don't feel bad. I do the same thing.
C3publicrelations.com. There we go.
Yeah.
Write that down.
Awesome.
But yeah, if they're just even want to explore some things, give us a call. I mean, our phones or our emails are always open. We love to just do what we do, as you can tell by the passion. I hope it's coming through, because that's the thing. I was just thinking when we're coming through, a lot of times when we talk, Joyce and I talk, we talk over each other, because that's the excitement that we have. We're a part of whoever, right? When she says we make people's lives better, we do, because we feel a part of them. And this excitement is genuine. And whoever we're talking to, So I read somewhere they were talking about this very thing. And if your PR agency is kind of lackluster or they're not excited about your product or whatever, then you might want to think about that, because if they're not excited, how are they going to be promoting that? How are they going to present that? And that's one thing that we definitely bring to the table, is this excitement, not just for the media, which we love to do, which you can tell our jobs, but whoever we're working for. We want to make their lives better. We love the products, and we just get excited. And that's why a lot of times we'll talk over each other.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. Joyce, what else can we do besides what Sean shared to support you guys?
Well, that's awesome. We do a lot of pro bono work,
Right.
and my phone, to Sean's point, is always open. I mean, people can call me, and just be like, "Hey, I've got this one-off question." Great, I'm happy to help you. So please don't feel free to not reach out. But one of the things is that I and Drew, you would appreciate why I support these organizations, the Alzheimer's Association of San Diego and Imperial County, and the the Salvation Army of Imperial County.
Right.
Because they've got ties to my family. And you know what? When you see something of that, generally speaking, we're blessed to be involved, and it's our pleasure to do so. So, support those organizations, because they're out there, beating the pavement, and they're pounding it, and they're doing just great work. So, you can call us, and, you just have one-off question. It's my pleasure and Sean's pleasure just to chat with you. But, when you see an organization, and there's lots of PR firms that do pro bono assistance, and I chose those two because of my parents, and they were supported by both of those. But we still, every year, we'll do a short list, and we pick an organization. But look out for other people that are doing the same thing, and go help those organizations and support them, because that's what makes this community so special, is that we support each other. And I got to go on record. I don't think there's a more generous community and supportive one than San Diego, California.
Yeah, we were talking about that throughout the 6 interviews today, without question. Well, always good to see both of you folks, and we're going to look forward to having some of your clients back on. I know we're looking forward to that. Guitars in the Classroom, when Jess is back in town. They do great work, and everybody else you bring to the dance. We've been chatting with Joyce and Sean Curry of C3 Communications. I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. You've been listening to another edition of our show. We are the longest running community podcast in the nation, now in our 19th year. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, 60 plus years of just doing great things in our region. And thank you very much, guest co-host Kristen Blake, PR and community affairs consultant. She wasn't sure if she was going to actually be on the air. She just wanted to observe, and I gave her about 1 second to think about it. And so she's been involved in all 6. Do you enjoy yourself?
Oh, this is fantastic. And I've been taking notes like a communicator, and just absorbing all the wonderful work that our guests are doing.
Yeah, they do.
Thank you.
I've been fortunate enough to hear this for 19 years. And to our listeners, we hope you enjoyed the interview.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Cloudcast Media.